want to talk about using your spiritual gifts wisely. Again, this time I want to talk about a giving spirit. I've spoken about that before, giving warnings as to things that you can and cannot do. And what I want to do is I want to talk about some of the ways other people receive your gifts, or the ways other people interpret your gifts, because this knowledge is important so you can determine how or when and where to spend your gifts. There are some people in this world who are jumping for joy for you. They're your biggest cheerleader. They pray for you all the time. They think about you all the time. They are there for you. Regardless of what goes on in your life, good, bad, ugly, they accept you for who you are, flaws and all, because they have that type of love for you. And they're not afraid to show that love to you. That's a good thing. If you're in any type of relationship like that, be it family, friend, colleague, whatever the case may be with another person, hold on to it with a vice grip, because those things are hard to find. It's unconditional. They just like being in your presence. They enjoy your energy, and you feel the same about them. These people have your back no matter what. And when you've decided to go on this spiritual journey and decided to unlock and use your spiritual gifts, you're working on strengthening your spiritual connection with your Creator, however you choose to refer to him or her. This person is still in your corner. They're not trying to discourage you. If anything, they're trying to encourage you. It's just that they're cheering for you, because they're just all in for you. They're your fan. That's a good thing. So hold on to that as much as you can, because there are going to be some times where you're going to need it. Having a spiritual gift and exercising it takes a lot of work, people. There's some people in this world that want to embark on certain opportunities, and they just simply cannot do it at this time because they're not intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually ready to handle it. Bottom line. They can have all the money in the world. That's how come you hear about these people that have lots of money getting involved in these business ventures, and they're always failing. They're always failing because that person is not ready. So you have to be in the right position in order to accept these blessings, in order to keep them. And if you're not spiritually ready, if you haven't done any emotional and spiritual work on yourself to handle the responsibility of that particular gift, for one thing, you're going to lose it. Because everything in this world that you have requires responsibility. And that's a lesson that I had to learn. It took me years to realize that. Talent alone doesn't take care of everything. Because bottom line is, every single one of us in this world has a talent. You can have a talent for ball. You can have a talent for music. You can have a talent for academics. But talent alone doesn't make you successful. You have to have discipline. You have to have a sense of responsibility. You have to be able to be, diligent. There are other qualities that you need. If you're dealing with the public sector, you have to have communication skills. You have to have analytical skills. So just having your talent is not going to work. And you hear stories all the time about people that are in high-profile positions. They're talented. But as soon as they get into the game where they can make money and prosper with their talent, they're gone. It's a matter of time before they do something to screw it up, because they're not prepared to handle the responsibility associated with it. You can have a talent all day long, but the minute you try to put it into a situation where you want to try to make money using that talent, then you're going into a different realm, because that requires a whole lot of work to do that. You can't just come in the world and say you're talented. Oh, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm talented. Okay, that's great. That's a good thing to say. But there are certain channels and things that you have to go through. And sometimes you're going to have to be uncomfortable for a little while in order to go through it. You can't turn around and say, oh, I'm a great rapper. This is a popular one. Oh, yeah, I'm a great rapper. The people in your family say you're good. The people in your neighborhood say you're good. You probably did one or two little gigs in the city, and they say you're good. But you don't have a label. Okay? And it's a tough business. It's not easy to get a label right away. But you can't turn around and say how talented you are and then just automatically assume that all of a sudden out of the sky somebody's going to reach down and just pluck you up and throw you into this heavenly place full of money. You're going to have to be able to deal with contracts. You're going to have to be able to deal with dates and tours and things like that. If you have a family responsibility, how are you going to be able to fit during a tour and all that? What kind of relationships are you going to have with people? Are you going to be in a position to have a serious relationship if you're starting into the business? Most likely not. Unless you're going to take that person with you, or else they're okay with you being gone most of the time. That's the way it's going to be. Then you have to deal with contracts, the business end of it. Because, see, when you go into a record label, it's not just you. You have to deal with promoters and publicists, and you have to deal with managers. You have to deal with PR. You have to deal, all these different people are going to be part of the deal. And then also in the contract, every dime that you make is not going to be every dime that you keep. Because these people have to get paid. The record label has to do their part. And what about the number of hours that you have to commit? About how many tracks you have to do in order to fulfill a contract to get paid? There are going to be some times you're going to be working from sunrise to sunset just to put out so you can keep up your end of the obligation. You have to do that. People say, I want to get signed, but do you know what's in that contract? That's how come you hear a lot of people, they might be rapping today and they might be handling, working for a label or owning a label tomorrow because they're taking the time to learn the business. And those are the most successful ones because they know the ins and outs. But you just come in here and say, well, I got talent, rain money on me. That's not being realistic. Everything requires a process in this world. Everything requires a certain amount of training, a certain amount of education. You have to learn something, before you even start making $1. And the problem is a lot of people come to the table with all this talent. Okay, talent, but they don't have an ounce of discipline. They don't know how to conduct themselves in public. You're in the public eye right now. You can't be running willy-nilly out in the streets with JoJo, the drug dealer and all that. You can't deal with dumb people anymore. When you're in the public eye, you got to watch who you're associated with. You got to watch where you go. Because that can ruin your brand. You're a brand now. So you got to be careful with that. If you decide to run a business, you want to run this huge multi-million-dollar business, so-called multi-million-dollar business, but you want to do everything yourself. You want everybody to think the same way you do, and you want to flip the script every 2 seconds. If and when you decide to hire employees, they're not going to hang around much longer, because every time you turn around, you're getting on their nerves. You hire them to do a job that you're not capable of doing because of time or because of a lack of education. That's why you hired this person to help build your business. And then you're going to turn around and sit there and try to play micromanager about something you don't know anything about. For some people, they're like, you know what? Okay, I appreciate you giving me the job and everything, but I don't need to be here if you're not going to let me do it. And we're going through what is called the Great Resignation right now because of the pandemic. The pandemic has opened a lot of people's eyes. They realize they've been sitting up here working and slaving for 20, 30 years, doing the same thing and haven't gotten any further financially or time-wise from the day that they started. They have the same debts and the same problems. People are getting tired. And some of these managers are losing their mind because they lost profits. Hey, look, the profit and loss, that's real. And when you turn around and open up a business and you don't have any money set aside for anything, any contingencies or anything else, you're going to be doing all the work by yourself for a long period of time before you think of taking on anything else. That's why it's good to kind of stack up some kind of petty cash fund or something before you even start your business. I don't care if you're a kitchen beautician. Have some money set aside, something for emergency supplies or whatever the case may be, so you can go ahead and keep the business going. Have something. But I mean, a lot of people are saying, well, I got talent. They don't have any kind of, goals or anything like that. You got to be careful. Everything requires responsibility. And if you're one of those type of people that don't want responsibilities, and don't try to aspire for anything. Just stay where you are in your dead-end life and your dead-end situation. Because everything requires responsibility. Any gifts that you get requires a certain amount of responsibility. And some of them require some additional training just to keep them. And if you don't have the mindset where you're teachable and you want to learn, be prepared to just lose it in a matter of time. The clock's ticking on your ass. And I'm just saying this because, some people have a pie in the sky mentality. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with ambition at all. I encourage people to be ambitious no matter how old they are. I encourage people to exercise their gifts, but you have to use wisdom when you're exercising those gifts. In the next audio, I might talk about, how people act that's kind of detrimental before they even are able to reap the reward. They lose everything before and the brass ring is right there. The brass ring is right in front of them, but they managed to do or say something to lose it. So I'm going to talk about that in the next audio. So peace to you all.